Hello queers, peers, and fabulous beards, and welcome back to another video. Today is just a progress update. I did my usual last week of the month break, and I'm honestly glad that I did. A lot happened, and I found myself not having much time or diving deep into brain rot that was like pulling myself out of molasses just to try and focus on other tasks. I will say though that even though my brain rot consumed me and made me feel incredibly sad after the creative burst of energy, I ended up making something I'm really proud of. These are scenes that are relatively further in the future. I can't say anymore that these things won't be covered in years because the pace at which I'm going is much faster than I anticipated. I'm finding myself zooming through my story faster than I could have ever hoped, and realizing it was silly to think I'd be doing this until I was 80 years old. It wouldn't be a bad thing though, as I love my comic and I will always find myself grumpy when I'm not working on it, and forced to have to do other things that I don't want to. But back to the scenes, I suppose. I was working on things I had questions for, and this one landed with me the most. What does Pavo and Inky's bonding look like? I had spent a lot of time doing little bonding exercises prior, but I felt like they never had a moment between just the two of them. There are some spoilers ahead, so just be aware, but I wanted to create a set of scenes that complement and contradict each other. We start with Mara trying to shove bigoted ideals down Pavo's throat, and even though he's an adversary towards those kind of opinions, he is essentially beaten down into accepting Amara's hateful speeches, and she even forces a very propagandistic book on Styx into his hands. Later on, Pavo is relatively beaten down and broken from his interaction with Mara, and the subject of her hateful rhetoric arrives in time to pester Pavo, while he's trying to do what he's told. The subject being Inky, by the way. I wanted the next scenes to focus on how much this kind of rhetoric hurts him and how he reacts to it, and how Pavo reacts to seeing the effects of what hate can do to someone. Pavo doesn't agree with it, but he is still influenced by those ideas because it's how he was raised. But seeing Inky hurt by just seeing the book in his possession is enough to push him to question as well as make amends, to try and correct the behavior and break the mold overall. So I created this conversation of racism and placed my own thoughts on how I dealt with hearing it and seeing it growing up. I'm absolutely imperfect, but I do recognize it and I do oppose it, and so does Pavo. The important part in these scenes though is that Pavo is willing to listen to Inky and even asks if Inky will show him who he is outside of the narrative, which leads to my favorite part of these scenes, what Pavo calls a friend date. This scene was meant to mirror my first unbeknownst to me date with my current wife. At the time, I was very much like Pavo, brainwashed but struggling to find my voice, as well as being a repressed queer person. However, that friend date I shared with my current wife is burned into my memory as one of the happiest moments of my life, and I wanted to recreate and mirror that for Pavo and Inky. Between Pavo taking the extra care and getting Inky breakfast that is higher quality, to stressing about whether or not Inky will like what he plans to show him, to suddenly holding hands when Pavo panics about them being late for the event, and Inky sharing parts of his past with Pavo while they watch the Bio Aurora, a placeholder name that I have for it. All of these little moments to me are sweet and engaging and remind me of small moments where I wondered with Jody, is this a date? Or I feel safe with her. Or I feel safe with her more so than I ever did before with other people. Or she didn't have to go through the effort, but she did anyway. It's those moments I'm excited to capture in the future for this comic, and even though it will take a bit to get there, at least I now have it in writing to enjoy in my own time. Anyway, that's me rambling about my very gay space cats. Clearly that's what I wanted to talk about today, so anyway, I hope you all enjoyed, and I'll see you all in the next video. Remember to make space, break the mold, and keep going.